to give some love to Tobias Harris in this regard. Tobias Harris was a second offensive option when the season started because Ben Simmons wasn't there and Tyrese Maxey hadn't elevated to this point. Y'all do understand that that Tobias Harris can average 20 anytime he wants to. You do understand that. Let's understand. We get lost in the sauce about him a little bit sometimes. The brother's a legit 6'7", 6'8". He's got a perimeter game. He can finish at the basket. He's got an athletic body. He's got an NBA body. He's strong enough to do these things. The guy went from a second option, not to a third, but to a fourth option. And yet he came in to last night, I believe, was he averaging like 24 a game in this series or whatever, better than 50% shooting. Let's give Tobias Harris some love too, and you're absolutely right. If Tobias Harris and Tyrese Maxey do what they're capable and what we've seen them do thus far this series, here's where James becomes pivotal. He doesn't have to shoot 25 shots, but he has to be aggressive.
Hold on. This is what I want to know, though. Are you guys now more confident in Philly or Miami?
Yeah. Let's see what you're going to say.
Well, I just wanted to piggyback on one other James thing, and that's just his response in that press conference where he says, what's been different? And he says, well, we're gaining more confidence as the series goes on. What's been different? Right. They have Joel Embiid in the lineup.
Yeah. That's right.
They didn't have him game one and game two.
That's right.
We saw the value of Joel in game three. Didn't have a great night shooting the basketball.
Doesn't matter.
Defensively was great.
Yep.
His presence opens up everything. Right. And so much of this shooting swing that we saw from game one, game two, Philly, to how well they shot in game three, game four, is because he was on the floor.
Got you.
Absolutely. Yeah. But now let's get to if the series is shifting, right? Because we felt like people were making their I'm not going to name names, making reservations in Miami.
It was me.
Things like
I already got my reservation.
Things like that are happening.
Okay.
Right. So it's all tied up now.
Well, let me say this.
Who do you have more confidence in?
I still believe in Miami for this series. And let me say this. I got a few text messages last night from the Sixers organization ribbing me because I got a lot of people in there I love. I worked there for 17 years, for crying out loud. I know a lot of people within that organization. They're like, he done fired my ass. That's what they said to me last night via text because I predicted. I said no. I predicted the Heat in 5 if Embiid didn't play. If Embiid did play, I got him in 7. I still got them winning the series, but I will tell you this. It's become very, very interesting, and here's why. I didn't expect to see what I saw from James Harden last night. He's switching now, but I know Philly can win this series now if that James Harden shows up for the rest of the series because I believe in Maxey and I believe in Tobias Harris. I think they're going to do their job, and Joel Embiid is just a superstar, and I think he's going to elevate his level of attitude now that he didn't get the league MVP award. I got a question for you, though, because you covered, which game did you call? You called game 3, right? I called
game 3.
You called game 3. What the hell is going on? Why is Duncan Robinson not playing for
Miami? I was going to bring this up.
Because I need you to bring. I'm like, the dude getting paid $90 million now. I mean, listen, Pat Riley and Mickey Harrison and these brothers didn't elect to pay him, and Andy Ellsberg and those boys didn't elect to pay him to be sitting on the bench. The dude ain't playing at all. And I understand he could be a defensive liability, and he ain't the greatest ball handler in the world. But when you have a sniper like him, the guy that's capable of dropping 8 or 9 threes in a playoff game the way he did in the first round, how he's not playing now, I was asking you, is he injured? Is something going on? I don't understand how you can't find. If you're the great Eric Spoelstra, who I believe to be a great coach, how is this dude not playing at all?
So a couple things to that. First of all, prior to this weekend, game 3 and 4 in Philly, the Heat were 20-3 with Max Strus in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened during that period of time with Strus in the starting lineup is Victor Oladipo came back.
Okay.
And he's given them some really good minutes.
They
probably trust him more as a playmaker and defensively. So I think both of those things are why Duncan is not playing. When we talk about this series, look, there's a number of things you can point to. You can talk about him being back in the lineup. You can talk about vintage Harden. You can talk about Jimmy Butler probably being the best player in this series and all that. But this series really is a swing series based on who's shooting threes.
Yeah.
Who's shooting threes. And you look at what Philly did at home, 32 of 66 from 3 in game 3 and 4, 14 of 64 in game 1 and 2 in Miami. Miami was 14 of 65 from 3 in Philly. So going forward, whether it's another 2 games or another 3 games, whoever makes the most threes probably has the best chance to win.
I think Philly's winning it.
I'm gonna get to my pick in a second.
That's what I want.
The other thing I wanted to just point out, and it's a weird development. Joel Embiid, I talk about him all the time. Just his defensive presence and how valuable that is, and him on the basketball court. you basically have the equivalent of a league best defense almost every year.
Okay.
We saw in the first round against Toronto them target him one-on-one as the primary defender. And we saw that again last night. Miami was 12 of 18 with him as the primary defender. Second half, because Miami went small, Joel ended up guarding Jimmy Butler a lot in the half court. Jimmy was
Jimmy
5
Butler
for
was,
6.
Abusing him.
Oh, abusing him. 5 for 6.
Right.
So that's another thing to watch, I think, throughout the rest of the series is them attacking, not necessarily when he's in that drop coverage, because he's so good there, but as the primary defender.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.